Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. This is Billy Luke. I have a special program today. So please, before I start the program, kindly do me a favor by sharing the video, and then I will start very shortly. This is going to be a very brief press conference, and I'm not going to take that long. I will be limiting it to at least 30 minutes. It may be, yes. So let me get ready, and I can start it right away.
Padang Jieeng Padang Jieeng na yulena dewo Ayoni bai jol Padang na yulien Dengo ngom waliat Udene jol balien Utowe bai jol atar Jieeng Padang Jieeng na yulena dewo Ayoni bai jol Padang na yulien Wanda
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, viewers generally. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be around the world globally. I have a very urgent message to Jieeng Padang leaders and citizens in Juba, South Sudan. Urgent message to Jieeng Padang, Juba, South Sudan. My program is to inform you on urgent notice of the arrival of the advance team or delegate of General Johnson Olony, who are dispatched by General Johnson Olony via Dr. Riek Machar to come to Juba from Khartoum to meet with the Office of the Presidency of South Sudan, Government of National Unity, probably under the unified leadership of His Excellency Gerald Salva Kiir Mayardit and Dr. Riek Machar, exclusively pertaining to the recent proposed presidential conference, which was indefinitely adjourned until further notice by Dr. Riek Machar. As per the previous position paper of Jieeng Padang, it is inevitable that Jieeng Padang is not interested at all to take part in the proposed presidential conference, as it does not fundamentally address the main cause of the tribal tension between the Chilu Kingdom under Johnson Olony and Jieeng Padang over the alleged territorial dispute, as is falsely alleged and claimed by Gerald Johnson Olony. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, now the so-called Advance team, delegate of Gerald Johnson Olony, are sent to Juba to convey their communal and tribal position paper over the political tension which had sparked the tribal standoff between Jieeng Padang and Chilu Kingdom. Padang is urgently advised to respond to the Olony delegate and the Government of National Unity under the leadership presidency of both His Excellency Gerald Salva Kiir and Dr. Riek. Thus, on urgent notice, the Padang leaders in Juba should respond to the dispatched senior elders from the following concern. Number one, ladies and gentlemen, the proposed presidential conference should be turned into an initial introduction for the peace initiative between the Chilu Kingdom and Jieeng Padang in Afanal State, in order to basically address the root cause of the tribal tension stoked by Agwelek under the Revolutionary Rebellion of Olony. Number two, present to the office of the president the position paper petitioning and demanding for the Jieeng Padang to be separated from the Upper Nile state and be designated the self-governing state administrative area to resolve and mitigate the potential threat of tribal mayhem and extermination stoked by the Chiluk tribal militia known as the Agwelek forces under Gerald Johnson Olony, as well as the other hostile tribes who are allied to Chilu Kingdom and could not make the harmonious coexistence attractive and peaceable at this critical time of tribal tension. Number three, the territorial dispute, as is allegedly claimed and demanded by the Chilu Kingdom under Johnson Olony and their citizens and politicians, must be resolved amicably and peacefully through the legal litigation, as it has been persistently and consistently the ardent and unwavering position of Jieeng Padang, and remain the only way to eventually resolve this haunting and daunting conflict, which started even since the 1982 up to the present time. Number four, Padang Jieeng must make it crystal clear to President Salva Kiir and Dr. Riek Machar that Chiluk are playing the emotion of Jieeng Padang when Chiluk militant warlord like Gerald Johnson Olony and Dr. Lema Kol, with the overwhelming support of their citizens, had intentionally murdered or assassinated the Dongjol Jieeng chief, who was the most senior paramount chief of a Koka chieftain, and his entire family were ruthlessly killed in cold blood in his house by the agent of Gerald Johnson Olony and his tribal militia of Agwelek. Motive or reasonable motivation which led to the heinous assassination of late Chief Thornwai of Jieeng Dongjol of Akoka was a well-calculated and coordinated conspiracy assassination plot against the Padang Jieeng oldest and senior elder and chief, because he is the most historically vested, well-informed elder from the Akoka town, whose people are the clear owners and indigenous native of Makal or Malakal, and hence his assassination was basically orchestrated to deprive Jieeng Padang of the historical deficiency over Makal and other surrounding areas of Malakal. His killing was meant to tamper with the historical evidence, to challenge Chiluk over their falsified claim over Jieeng Padang land. The history of Chiluk had been passed down. The history of Padang had been passed down to the present generation, and likely his oral account and narrative had been written into the booklet covering all the historical land and borders of Jieeng Padang and their respective neighbors, including Chiluk. Number 6, ladies and gentlemen, once again, Padang Jieeng will never accept to share the current Afanal state when Gerald Johnson Ulun and his Chiluk kingdoms are standing by with their heavily armed tribal militia, Agwele. In order for peace initiative between Chiluk and Padang to go as his desire, delegate of Gerald Johnson Ulun should be engaged to accept the peace initiative and mediation and negotiation to start between Chiluk and Padang, so that the root causes of the tribal conflict and tension must be addressed amicably and peacefully once and for all. Jieeng Padang is for peace and unity and stability of South Sudan, but it will never accept the coexistence with the hostile and aggressive tribe in Afanal state, who are heavily armed to tease with their tribal militias and threatening Padang with war dynamically and other tribal bigotry. The peace and stability of the Afanal state must not come this time around in the expenses of Jieeng Padang, as it usually does in the previous agreement. Number 7, ladies and gentlemen, the SPLA-IO leadership under Dr. Riek Machar and the IO supporters must not meddle in the tribal dispute between Chiluk and Padang, as this is an isolated tribal dispute over land between the two tribes of Afanal state. Moreover, Agwele forces as the tribal militia of Chiluk, led by Oloñ, as a vision to take over the land of Jieeng Padang by force, and so their political ideology is not similar to that of the SPLM-IO. Forces of Gerald Johnson Oloñ must now initiate a peace initiative with Jieeng Padang, and it should be presided and mediated by the neutral party in the future. Secondly, the peace initiative shall address the root causes of the tribal conflict and tension between Chiluk and Padang once and for all. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, Padang Jieeng are urgently urged to launch the legal lawsuit against the Chiluk tribe should they decline and fail to accept the proposed peace initiative between Padang and Gerald Johnson Oloñ. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are the main points that are being presented to the Jieeng Padang community leaders and citizens in Juba, so that they can take all these main points into account, so that they can later on present them to the office of the presidency of South Sudan under the current national unity government. That is going to be the position of Jieeng Padang generally. And these ideas or this concern have to present to the office of the presidency, as the delegates of Gerald Johnson Oloñ are going to meet. They are going to meet with the President Salva Kiir Mayardit and Dr. Riek Machar, first Vice President. So this is actually why it is also very crucial for the Jieeng Padang leaders to also present their position paper at this point as well, as a kind of response to the delegate of Gerald Johnson Oloñ in Juba. So this is strongly advised, and this is a very urgent message that you need to take into consideration and make sure you present yourself avail yourself in the office of the presidency of South Sudan and make sure you present those points as is desired by the vast majority of Jieeng Padang around the globe. It would be greatly appreciated. Yen ko baloi aba jobe ageri tong Jieeng. We go kidai benchi delegate ke Johnson Ulonyi Chik Ben. So let me play the clip. I would go ahead and play the clip of the arrival of the delegate of General Johnson Ulonyi from Khartoum to Juba. So bear with me and share the video, please. Thank you.
وضع وفد المقدمة لولاية ولاية علنين بقيادة جونسون أولاني جوبا. هنا وفد المقدمة برئاسة جنرال أو الدكتور بولا تشوت. هنا عشان نأكد لحكومة جنوب السودان حكومتنا بقيادة كيف إنه نينا السلام ورسلنا جونسون أولاني توبو حاكم المرتقب لولاية على النيل. عشان كده نينا جينا وقت المقدمة وانتوا تأكدوا تماما إنه نينا السلام ونينا يمكن الناس البدء بسلام بعد اتفاقية السلام المنشط. وفدنا وقود جو لحدود الولاية بتاع على النيل كله. والآن نينا جينا نشكر سيد رئيس الجمهورية والنائب الأول الدكتور رياض مشرف لدورهم المتعاظم لتنفيذ اتفاقية السلام المنشط. ونحن جينا كوفد من سيد جونسون أولاني ونحن حكمنا جاهز. إذا تم تعيينه الليلة نحن متأكد هيلاقنا هنا. ونحن جينا إن شاء الله نقعد مع الجهات المختص وداعين نأكد للعالم إنه نحن السلام. والكلام اللي بيقولوا في الميديا وحاجات اللي بيقولوا إنه والله ده ما دول بتاع سلام، كلام ده ما حقيقة. دينا سلام وبدينا سلام من 2018 بعد اتفاقية السلام للخرطوم المنشط. ونحن بنشكر قيادة جنوب السودان على راسهم سيد الرئيس سلفا كير مياردي والدكتور رياض مشار نائب الأول لرئيس الجمهورية. وجزاكم الله خير ونحن إن شاء الله هنكون معكم. شكرا جزيلا.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is the delegate of Gerald Johnson Ulonyi being dispatched to Juba. They came to Juba yesterday probably, and their intention or their mission to come to Juba is actually to come and meet with the presidency of South Sudan National Unity Government. So that's why we are also urging the Padang community leaders in Juba so that they can also avail themselves in the office of the presidency so that they can also be able to present the opposition paper as well as a response to the delegate of Gerald Johnson Ulonyi. And that is what I just read out earlier. So that is very clear. Again, Johnson Ulonyi's position doesn't change. He continued to provoke war, and I don't think this is going to be acceptable to the Jieeng Padang as well. So he continued to force the video where he's actually agitating possible attack on the areas of Jieeng Padang. So that's what we are also concerned. So the position of Jieeng Padang is very clear, ladies and gentlemen, that now that the delegates of Gerald Johnson Ulonyi are being dispatched or sent to Juba to meet with the office of the presidency, we are also encouraging the leaders and the citizens of Jieeng Padang to also get themselves prepared and equipped and present their position paper as well. And in that position paper, they should also make sure that paper is going to contain a proposed peace initiative, which is going to take place between the Shilluk Kingdom under the command of Gerald Johnson Ulonyi and Jieeng Padang, so that the root cause can actually be fundamentally addressed in order to resolve this tribal conflict and tension. This is how we look at it. and Padang have rejected the previous proposed presidential conference because the previous proposed presidential conference does not basically address the root cause. So that's why Padang rejected it, because that proposed conference is too political. And when it is too political, it does not actually address the root cause of the conflict and the current tribal tension between Chiluk and the Padang Jieeng. Therefore, at Jieeng Padang, we have proposed that an independent peace initiative between the kingdom of Chiluk and Jieeng Padang is the only amicable and peaceful strategy to resolve this tribal conflict and tension. That's how we look at it. If that peace initiative failed, or if the delegate of Gerald Johnson Olony failed to accept this proposed peace initiative between Jieeng Padang and Chiluk, then Padang will have another alternative strategy to respond to the Chiluk Kingdom, and that is to challenge the Chiluk Kingdom to adhere to the legal proceeding. That way, this conflict can be resolved through legal litigation. This has been persistent and consistent position of the Jieeng Padang all around the world. So we are looking forward to see the delegate of Gerald Johnson Olony to cooperate with the Jieeng Padang leaders in Juba so that we can actually resolve this tribal conflict and tension amicably and peacefully through legal litigation. So let us resolve this conflict through legal battle. We can actually go to court of law, whereby we can present the evidence over the alleged claim over the total dispute. This is the only way we can solve it. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, the position of Jieeng Padang has been consistently very clear as well, that we do not buy into the political appeasement and political settlement of this matter. Because when you have a dispute over something, it is considered criminal. And once it's considered criminal, it has to be resolved through legal litigation. This is how it is supposed to be. So this is what Dr. Lem Makol and all the politicians of the Chiluk Kingdom are doing. They are actually engaging the government of South Sudan and other external forces that the issue of total dispute in Upper Nile state can only be resolved through political settlement or political appeasement. That is totally unacceptable, and I don't think Jieeng Padang will accept the political litigation over this total dispute. So the only way out of this situation, of this tribal conflict and tension, is to resolve it through legal proceeding, so that whoever have the strongest evidence to present before the competent court of law will take it all, instead of trying to fight it through political appeasement or settlement. This is what Chiluk Kingdom is actually pursuing, because they understand that they do not have the concrete evidence to challenge the Jieeng Padang when it comes to legal litigation. Another political conscience, or another sign of guilty conscience demonstrated by the Chiluk Kingdom, is also attested by the political assassination or the killing of our late paramount chief, Sonowai. It was politically motivated, and it was Gerald Johnson Olony who plotted the assassination of late Chief Sonowai. It was also being coordinated by all the politicians of Chiluk Kingdom, of which Dr. Lem Makol is part of it. They plot an assassination against the late paramount chief Sonowai and assassinate him heinously with his entire family. So the entire family were actually wiped out in that assassination conspiracy designed by the Chiluk Kingdom with their politician and their notorious warlord, Gerald Johnson Olony. So this raises another question of why was paramount chief of Dongjol Dinka, Dongjol Jieeng de Padang, who are the owners and the indigenous native of Makal and other surrounding areas. Why were their sheep being assassinated? I think that was politically motivated because Dr. Len Makol, Gerald Johnson Ulun, and all the politicians of Shilluk do understand it very clearly that late Chief Sonowai is the most vested and well-informed senior elder and paramount chief of Jieeng Padang that know the history about the Shilluk and the Dinka of Jieeng Padang National State. He know all the borders. He know all the lands. So that's why Dr. Len Makol and Gerald Johnson went ahead and plotted, orchestrated a political assassination of late Chief Sonowai and wipe him out with his family. Ladies and gentlemen, this was intentionally done by Dr. Len Makol and Gerald Johnson in order to deprive the Jieeng Padang of historical account or historical narrative that we're going to be present before the court of law. And that is why Shilluk Kingdom is not even ready to go to court with the Jieeng Padang over the territorial dispute. And this is the only amicable way and peaceful way to resolve the territorial dispute among the tribe in South Sudan, or particularly between the Shilluk Kingdom and the Jieeng Padang. So this is one iota of guilty conscience demonstrated by the Shilluk Kingdom, because they're not even interested to go to court with Jieeng Padang over the territorial dispute. So that means they're not the real owners of the land as they claim. And that's why they are only interested in resolving this conflict over the territorial dispute through political appeasement or political settlement. That's why they want to force Jieeng Padang to continue to share the state with them as a result of benefiting from Maka. So this is why we are urging the community leaders of Jieeng Padang in Juba to take this very seriously, and they must act. This conflict over the territorial dispute must be resolved now and not later. So it is time for us to act at Jieeng Padang without wasting time. We are not going to delay time over this issue anymore. That's why Johnson Ulun will continue to be existential threat against the existence of Jieeng Padang with his heavily armed tribal militia, Agwele. Ladies and gentlemen, you should also need to understand that Johnson Ulun, Agwele forces, and his Shilluk Kingdom are not part of the SPLMIO. And that's why we are also urging, we want to let our leaders in Juba understand that you should actually challenge Dr. Riek Machar to stay away from the tribal conflict between the Shilluk Kingdom and the Jieeng Padang National State. Because the SPLMIO leadership and their members have nothing to do with the tribal tension and tribal conflict between Jieeng Padang and the Shilluk. Because when Agwele movement was started in 2010, it was established in order to fight the Jieeng Padang over the territorial dispute. So it is very clear since day one that Agwele forces was actually fighting for the land, for the Shilluk Kingdom. So that means their political ideology is totally different from that of SPLMIO. The only relationship between the SPLMIO and the Agwele forces in Shilluk Kingdom was something to do with a military alliance. And that is over. It is only SPLMIO and SPLA-IO that have signed a peace agreement with the government of South Sudan. But Agwele forces in this case have never signed any peace agreement, nor have they ever initiated any peace agreement with the Jieeng Padang National State. So this time around, it is the right of the Jieeng Padang to take advantage of this proposed presidential conference, which was at the Jonits a week ago by Dr. Riek Machar, to turn it into a peace initiative, which is going to take place between Chuluk and Jieeng Padang. Only if Chuluk is going to accept the challenge of going down with a peace initiative. Because peace initiative is going to address the fundamental cause of the Agwelek movement, or the fundamental cause of the Chulu kingdom, again, is the Jieeng Padang, over the territorial dispute. This is how we can be able to find an amicable solution to this tribal conflict and tribal tension. Otherwise, I don't think this has something to do with the revitalized peace agreement, as majority of you as South Sudanese continue to be meddling in these tribal affairs between the Chiluk and the Padang Jieeng. So this is totally different. And it also has nothing to do with the government of national unity under His Excellency, General Salva Kiir Mayardit, and first Vice President, Dr. Riek Machar, and other Vice Presidents. This has nothing to do with them. This is totally an isolated cases that must be treated differently and must be looked separately from the current revitalized peace agreement. So the fact that Jieeng Padang are also being accused of undermining the smooth implementation of the revitalized peace agreement is totally unacceptable. Because this is an isolated case. General Oloñ was actually leading an independent revolutionary rebellion as a cause for his people over the territorial dispute with Jieeng Padang. So this is totally different. That's why we are urging and appealing directly to the first Vice President, Dr. Riek Machar, and his SPLM supporters to generally back away in meddling with the tribal tension and conflict between Jieeng Padang and Shilluk. So therefore, it is an opportunity for the Jieeng Padang leaders in Juba and their citizens to collectively galvanize themselves and make a big proposal as a peace initiative, put it forward before this delegate of Gerald Johnson that are now in Juba, and tell them frankly that we are ready for peace initiative. Because we, Padang Jieeng, we are for peace, stability, and tranquility of the country. We are for the unity. So we want to give Chiluk Kingdom the opportunity to be able to listen to Jieeng Padang so that we can actually sit down and encounter one another one-on-one about how we can solve this. And the final resolution to that could actually lead to legal proceeding. That means we can actually go down to the last resort of legal litigation. So we do not want anyone to meddle in this matter. Because conflict is confined between the Chiluk and Jieeng Padang. We don't understand why the other tribe in Upper Nile State are also cheering on with the Chiluk Kingdom. It doesn't make any sense. And that is what is driving the Jieeng Padang to also distance themselves away from the rest of the tribe. So we are urging the Padang Jieeng leaders to stick to their number one priority, and that is to demand and petition for the self-governing state, so-called administrative area, to be established so that Jieeng Padang can actually rule itself. So that to avoid this hostility, this tribal hostility and aggression and violence stoked by the other tribe in form of alliance. So we have seen Johnson Oloñ and tribal militia are forming a military alliance with the SPLA-IO forces, and they are threatening the existence of the Jieeng Padang. Therefore, this is another justification as to why Jieeng Padang is now calling for an independent administrative area for their people, so that they can actually take charge of the security, the safety, and the territorial integrity of their people. So there's no more gambling. So as Padang called for an independent administrative area, they are going to launch a legal lawsuit against any neighboring tribe that is accusing them falsely of their total annexation. And so Jieeng Padang have all the tools available to respond to any neighboring tribe that accuse them of total annexation or land grabbing. So this is up to this tribe to make a choice whether they are actually ready to put Jieeng Padang in the legal bottle, or what other option do they have on the table. Jieeng Padang is no longer interested in the resolution of this conflict through political appeasement or political settlement. Because when you push us to actually resolve this tribal conflict and tension through political appeasement and settlement, it actually tell us that you are not the right owners, you are not the rightful owners of the land, and that's why you just want to forge that kind of peace agreement through political settlement. So it actually means you are not an indigenous native and owners of the land that you are claiming from Jieeng Padang. Jieeng Padang have the historical account that are being documented in the old Sudan colonial documentaries, as well as the colonial maps. So Jieeng Padang is calling out against the neighboring tribe to come forward and present their facts, evident, before the court of law, before the competent court of law. So if you do not even trust in the judicial system of South Sudan, you can take your case elsewhere. So we are challenging you to file a legal lawsuit. You can take it anywhere you want to go. And we can still follow you there with our evidence, proofs, and facts based on historical accounts and narrative by our senior elders and senior paramountship of Jieeng Padang. So this message is going directly to all South Sudanese, those who actually misrepresent and misinform the general public about the position of the Jieeng Padang is totally different from the national peace agreement. So this conflict between the Shilluk and Jieeng Padang has nothing to do with your revitalized peace agreement. So please do not meddle in our affairs. Do not meddle in our affairs, because anything to do with Johnson Lony has nothing to do with this, with the revitalized peace agreement. For your information. So we know the political strategy or political tactic employed by Dr. Riek Machar is actually to sabotage. His intention is to sabotage the current revitalized peace agreement, to take the country back to war by using Johnson Lony as a proxy to undermine the smooth implementation of the revitalized peace agreement. So that's why it must be a very clear message by the Jieeng Padang and challenge Dr. Riek Machar directly that he's meddling or that he's encouraging the Shilluk Kingdom and his own tribe that are neighboring the Jieeng Padang national state to gang up against Jieeng Padang so that he can actually continue to sponsor his tribal extermination against the Jieeng Padang and their existence in national state. We are aware of that political conspiracy, and that's why we are not going to buy into this kind of proposed presidential conference. That is nonsense. This tribe in Afanal have already gang up against Jieeng Padang. That's why Jieeng Padang made an ultimatum to actually demand and petition for their own administrative area. This is exactly the point here. So I think that message is very clear, ladies and gentlemen. So we will continue to hammer our position. So get ready and let us focus on this. Anyway, let me make a break a little bit so I don't have to bore you. So stay tuned a little bit. Let me take a break. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back to the studio. Let me play the audio of Gerald Johnson so you can actually listen to it. And then I will come back and explain it in Dinka language. Thank you.
asa da 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 yin ya da shaba da gaba da zoki mi da gida asa da ba wala yin asa da yin da bu ko ka yin ta da ku mu dinu ga bu ko ka yin da ro da no su da bu da da du so na ga mi lu ya ne imarwa ni sai da gwamnati na sota wannan dibishana wannan gargaru lazim ne mun lubi da fi marwa mu je tsara da janya fi marwa ne jibuwe mu je tsara da janya mu je da babar da janya ji je da ne salam bi quest salam ma bi quest
woman, tolerate a boo young yak. Find come to cover enough, tolerate a boo young yak. We don't talk about what comes, tolerate a boo young yak. No, to knock it up. No, to knock it up. No, to knock it up. May well when I got quite 20 dollars to get ready to make that. But young I can't come with that Jalong in Murka, 20 body at 20 baby, you want to love you. Kabapin, your travel parliament, and will lawyer woman that do I want to put on you with Guy Yaniwa. And I could lawyer. When good back in a mind that took and said, I'm good. I think money, and down wine, but then a home to done, but by then old, bring them away on freelance, them yarn, a bit or nothing.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back to the studio. I was taking a break a little bit. You have actually listened to the video of Johnson Lung. Johnson Lung has actually a reservation to take the country back to war by actually launching a tribal conflict against Jieeng Padang and also threatening the oil installation facility in the area of Jieeng Padang, particularly in northern Upper Nile state. So you have actually listened to his speech before the military parade, and his message is very clear. His attitude can tell that this guy is not up to peace, despite the fact that he has just actually dispatched his peace delegate to Juba. There's no guarantee he's actually going to come to Juba. So he's actually threatening war, and nobody can actually trust what he say. So chapping at the Adun Keke, you quite one get Jieeng die. Kaya Jieeng Padang loyal did it, loyal yin. O keep it jam alone. So I collect Ranchol Johnson alone. O keep jam alone. O keep jam alone, yan because jam because Tau Rule, shake a taco, go Jieeng Padang. Kichiku with Johnson alone. Abia always Abia less resort to that, call Jieeng Padang. So Mr. We back there, Diddy Wire. Kaya Jieeng Padang loyal yin. Delegate den ci ben Juba kene ene ni Johnson loñ ako bele ke ko le yene Jieeng Padang a wi peace initiative bu lo propose ko dor kene ena ko bi ñoj e kam de ci lu ku jela Jieeng Padang ku koy bi en lo medie de ne dor kene a pia biya ban ci Junub Sudan te kene ko ci Junub Sudan ke ben medie e ka pia biya other parties ko fay when a neutral party then may come and mediate that peace initiative proposed by the Jieeng Padang. So ke Jieeng Padang luel ko na ko bela luel to leke yok e delegate ke Johnson loñ ke bela leke ko le yen wo ko peace du na bag jo bay o ke peace na wiko kuna wiko peace e wo we ci lu ku jela o ko Jieeng Padang o ñuj pin ku dora bi jo kwen a chan Johnson loñ mini yo den way wan e 2010 achin do ci kon negotiate do ci kon initiate de kam den ke Jieeng Padang ki kon loy therefore ko le man ci delegate ke Johnson loñ ci ko ban Juba ka yok wi we wok ban ke Jieeng Padang to Juba jet rot ku lakete de te den ku bakke la challenge ten before the office of the president. So apet bag lo bel with your position ka bag lo a che propose it aja de conference wan lo le yek mi cha the conference wan ken ke political. When anything is political, I keep Michel can achieve yellow. So can you way york away by Jieeng Padang that political conference can have to be thrown away. Okachin get ancho rig macha yen involved. chan riek ma chare ayo kurani chola gwelek wone jorol Johnson ulun ku jela chulu kingdom de achi ke para bayo e kene wi bag dedi wa wi baga le kir mi yari wa wi baga le ran chi riek ma char achan bi dedi jeni akiye kulwel ko jieng Padang ben to pin na me kulwel yen ran chol Johnson ulun ya ki fi kon tan ke gi yin ki ye jieng Padang mini yoden way ku kwany maj ke kwany maj wadun wadi pin e lwel ka chi jieng jo so Johnson ulun ku wi ki pet ke delegate kan jiben ka wi ke confront wi ke kon encountered ku bi leke kulwel we o ki dor Johnson ulun ke ran to we ka ki dor kon lo kam dun ke go so yen ku wi ku ki ye delegate ta chuluk ti ben Juba ku yin kiri mi yari ku yin riek ka bag dede o ko jieng Padang o gere di bung nyu pin ku dor bu kwen e kam di Johnson ulun jila chulu kingdom de ban achan bi ye ke chulu ke go ko bu pin e lwel di kwengen Padang lo de du nka ka chen ki di chol chulu ku ban ci tiyo a ci pio ci lo sala u ke jeji ban ku ko le ne bi jieng Padang bi chopin de ko man jieng mo ga chulu gare ki jieng Padang achira ne nyuo ki ye kaman ku be ta ben wel ku le ka pin ra ne bi lo claim lu ke pin de akiye jieng Padang wel ke le ye nan nyu pin ku ba jam ku jerandi e ken pin di lo claim wa tanen nyuo that generosity and hospitality has been taken advantage of again in jieng Padang by the chulu because chulu come from the western side to the eastern side of the bay. And when they came to settle there, they give birth to a lot of generations were born and raised in that part of the Eastern Nile Bay. Here in the Jieeng Padang. Where any generation can want to be could be ten in a child of Willamana, you got to see a dinner king which you look. A champ in the Jing and Kay Medina, and Kekuan Tigur Yika, and Kay Yik British, who can get Yik Ajade, and Kay Yik Jalava. One by one who come might with Sudan. Anyway, wanna be Chuluka. You ban lose settle it. It can have boom or book when it are go Jing Padang. Probably next week. Get for when gonna book all them. Where you will come and learn the history, the Jing Padang. Pin the Jing Padang, take tongue no. Who borders a peg tongue no. A jiran can get rare cake, a back ping, and a carrot. While Mr. Kinnick very clear. What Jing Padang, to Juba, with the lab kun, I would borrow we a bankun, lucky 10 office of the presidency. Ulaga delegate ken ki Johnson lon back la yogo ke ku bag la le ke bag la yen o Jieeng Padang ke peace initiative ne jaku wuji kam du to we ci lu kingdom ku bi Johnson lon bu jola ñu di yen bu do bu jola kwen a chana go mi ci la taw ko be helu inke position ko bi junu bin big thing ken inke position Jieeng Padang e kero na ci ke peace initiative ci la gam no miak we Jieeng Padang you will launch kiden ci lawsuit achana go case kena go law battle through legal litigation ma kama ina boko lakini aka leke go we go kija kin ga chol political settlement dan ka ga bag race kaman le ke to the office of the presidency ke bag le ran ki kirim yari ku Dr. Riek Machar dernu Johnson lon ku jala ran chol le ma kol ku tiedin gi chulu ban wala pa ni chol chulu ban ke nekira ran chol sip ton wai ke nek ban ton wai ken ye paramountship de Jieeng dongjol e ken ke nyuo dunu ke giliti ke kilu a chan ke nek tono wai go tono wai en ke oldest ku ken ke more senior paramountship unte ene muktarik de kidi chol Padang ka woni a ken wan en ke kiran ci de wulon ku jila yen le ma kol na ci la tin na ke ci tono wai a chan go tarik de Jieeng Padang ni jen pin tok ku ngi jen chulu bidom greje chip tono wai ken na ke family de ban ke ga mo ke pinyor wonde ke family de kunna ke ban akoko hotel woni ne pin dong jol ku Jieeng chol dong jol le Jieeng Padang wo ko pin pana ke bangi jinu Jieeng dong jol ina de na makal ke pin de e indigenous land de en Jieeng do chol dong jol ku jela other areas ko Jieeng Padang lu ke claim ke pin de a lu pin de fa wonya lu claim di ti Fiji Johnson lu nge di pan chol Fiji ku ka pin le na fa win da ta wa ko ni jata ke piji ke pin le na ta re wune fa win de Jieeng Padang ko tu chol fa win ning bela ben kor plus ye e ka lui pa da kor plus de ke den chol do lip kene ke te em missionary ye ke nyu tina ke pin de Jieeng kor plus wune loy a lui claim lui ci lu ka lui claim ku jela nak diar ku jela yen malakal ka ke be ke Jieeng Padang e mana de wurak den ci god wan document ci god ku kay ke la lui la biga lui claim gula la malut ke den yi pa da breng ke la lui claim lo ye ke den e ngo ci lu ga wi ni yow ke nyu wan nyu ke ye koy wan ci Jieeng ke nyu bi ban mi pe ni Jieeng ku ye ko ca te ke duer ken ena ci ke gru bana wela kol kulel ke yena pin kene ke pinda just because the what ci ke diet ten ku di kiten so kene ci lu ga ci winin so ci lu ga wi bin nyot tarik ayen wo Jieeng dai wo ginu bin dai pin nam ben ke bag de inu Jieeng Padang a ce kaltan a cin pin ran ci Jieeng Padang ci jot ku kene ye Jieeng Padang le ko lo ke irane yana kwandang kulel ka luyan cha ka lu wada pin aye Jieeng Padang le yin lo ku dori da bu nyu pin da ku jem ku da nke piti ni ci ko ku luil na ko biya number 1 priority nin ci riel a chanen ci bi nyu pin o ka ye ku le lo ku makame ci lu wala yi bi la da ngonen tiya ka Jieeng Padang ten ku ci wit bi makama loy ko Jieeng Padang ke ko bil makama bu loy wo ga jazini document ko pet e ka bi kwen orally wala ka bi kwen written wala ka bi kwen di ko ga jazin with our lawyers ogla makama e kene wak junubin kene peaceful solution ne kene peace initiative ne number 1 priority a chan ping ka to ka kilu ngo gokti o big lego be tarik e pin ne ko pe ngam no kuna le area ka ter ku chiro la gam chanen bi king den bi gam bi be lo la chan king kene ya politicize na ye king te wan e che pin ka ka siezi ka yu ka le bi luel angi king den no ke lo yen ka tu ka log ja e log gi could log Jieeng ke eastern Nile of the river western bank in ke den ke ya chulu ya deri jeni kene so the peaceful solution nune Jieeng Padang wel ke yen peace initiative ku ke legal litigation be kene be law solve through makama e kene a chi chulu ka chi wi a chan ke chulu ko je ka ke because ngi yen ke kaltan ku ka le yen bi pe ni Padang bi rum riel werwan ke yi changati tui e kene a chiro dlew ke ka bag deri wak junubin ka gen ting man ke Johnson lo nyere lo ile alu le ke ko lo ar kat lo ka de jandi den to ko ye ni ku bla bla en ke to ko chilu ka bak pin we junubin won ke to tine kani a che ko rig mi chati a che ko kir mi yadi a che ko yi ke bila da kede we ke ka baga cha din ka bak tin ngane kaltan una la tong rom ba den le tong rom le we don ko be ti ke chit ku wi chilu kana wi bi gi Jieeng Padang e ko blo e tong di do kin ka ko no peace initiative ne solution ne number 1 priority na la aerial ke peace initiative bi lui ke makama ena bok to loke ni chi makama ku chi la lui wa bai ke yen oge ja ku le yen chin ke chol political solution u Padang mane e ke chulu ko mane ke lo o chi bai be ma de ke a chan ke o bai ma de ke man ke chiro ru wele ko le ke ye pe ni Jieeng ke lo ke therefore after the Jieeng Padang biro that pe nyeto bi pa ande bi Jieeng to kichira anu be chen gan ke a chan kama ne che ben wot ku bi ben mi pandu kurele yene ke pindi ken ke indon ko smack in the face e mangan chi ko mangin to ye Jieeng Padang le yen a wi baro da pinya to ba pandi ba chen yene to ba wudu de di ba genin ba joting e nga ka ben jo be jol so on ke Padang jaman tin ku le we Padang to Juba la ka wore dun de maktab de kirim yarit ku ya yen en pet by president Dr. Riek Machar we independent administrative area bagron match kunu ci luk ni ka lo tay den na iran ko bire ga Jieeng Padang kin bire ki der under Jieeng Padang and lat and let the law recognize the new pin gonna get in Jing Padang. Nke ku wich Padang bas. Padang a chi ko til. Iran ko bre ke junubida. Ure pin Padang a chiran chobi. Ku wich Padang but ke entitlement of the ownership of the land. When a title deed of the land nke ku wich be recognition. And ku wich be acknowledgement by the bill of the initial chulu. But failure to comply with this recognition and acknowledgement of Jing Padang as the indigenous owners of the land would actually result in a tribal eviction of Rantien ko be recognized no ke pin Jing Padang. Already a chak in Johnson Longy threatening war. Una lui tong threaten. Karan te ene lui ku ka ko bitong jot ku ka de ko ke re ke gi ga yelle ke ku le we ga jal ki la ka pandu. Ku pal ke pandi. Ku batong mu jola jot ki to pandu. The owner of the house have a right to say, get out of my house. If you want to fight me, get out. Get out of my house. Ku jaro le lady to peri, ku bejo yo ko peri. Ki ko bi Jing Padang lo ene ke. Wa we Jing Padang ke ne ke ene last resort. A chan di chi chulu ko bi jam tong di. Mi chi la ke ne be lu tong di. Ke ne ke leg ke ne ke lot den. Chan Johnson lo ni chi bi ko ja lo threat ke de Malaysia de ne to woji, wo ni UN. E ke ne wi bang nyin ko yi. Ke ku baton we ke ne ke. Ukaka baga charin wa Jing dai, Jing Padang, Ashike war mongers. They are not even preaching hate speech against anyone. Timana ada junubin even GMO, Chulu Gare, Bay Padang. Una law side in a manaka Chulu, winning a Western Bank. I can a better single Jing Tong of Yoki. What are they could be the Dangpay of Yoka to found in Chulu? Aliu. And okay, chicken alone. Quest side Jing Padang and a chicken bantin, they flock to the side Jing Padang. What the pin the one? Che generosity in the okay, hospitality wouldn't you demonstrate it can be when a Jing Padang and Chang of Piat. What can in even well to be in the Padang when play? It can actually low, can it in dot? Canberra, when you would not in Ben Pel, which you did. The banner grow a bit their population, till we look a puka, a cool lay and a pin, who blow a claim me a pin. Can you not low in a work by? Message and get good back there. Chinke chola ka chiri kana talk. Enough is enough. Ni chiluk ni gwika ke kuni law taide. Kuni kwa ke law maka me bluk. E kene inge wi Johnson ke lwele yene bi loy be ada lat. Ada lat ke pal ke Jing Padang bi ke den lo ayi na yin Jing nga jam ne ko jam Facebook lwele ake lwele yene Padang ka chol ngek. Achira an chol pada. Wi le we ka pet kana back pi. Kere chiluk ke Jing Padang ka piole. Ke ka piole ku dai ke wanyin. Dai ke wanyin ku chengi de bena ente. Message wi back there dik ko Jing. Uka abaton we ko we junubi yen michela de chilu ka Jing Padang. Achin ka maden ke ka pi di junu Sudan taw ka tin man tin. Le ki ran chori ka micha awi bi ko ke Jing Padang bi dom nyin gule yi ke loy kene you are sponsoring tribal extermination against Jing Padang. Ke Padang ku ju ben nok man wan nang wan ne nok 91 ku ben nok wan December 2013 to 2014. Ena ngor ka tawen na mama na chanen Padang ke le ngot jai. Kiche la rebellion nke only Jing tong ke la rebellion de ran chiri mi cha uke ke yen na ko ke Jing Padang emane yen rik mi cha is pushing his own tribe gability ne ye loy puji mane cha nen bi chulu back up u big Padang mu marto u Padang mu victimize pinden a chan his own tribe kaman ateke ambition in pinde Padang wedem yu a chan mi ko to ko junu Sudan mane ke be ke Jing Padang ka to ko ti iman tawne ruwen ko tawa pana so kenin ke bila den ran ci rek mi cha ke fet by president in ke den interest ke ladem ci Padang ci separated ke bila den ten ni e wari ngo ke wari resource ko kenin ko le no ke o ben victimize tribal killing was sponsored by Dr. Rick Micha in ke men ogen bu re jiren ken and make no mistake about this wo Jing Padang ko ni che ko ki lu inter marriage ke ban ki jiren ko have the Padang ba yogunu yen and biya chilu o kim nyir kene chuka tiaga ge dan ni ada gabila have the Padang na re jam tong chilu o kan ni culture chilu to chilu ka nu me ko ko lakin man chi o ngem nyin wad pin de chi ko ke jagan ma tundu wala yara ne ruwa ge yin ka del den de tong to a chi yen pe ni kan so ka la de me chi la kan ko na yelo ka ko la be yelo tong dik ab lo fi wala be lo ma kama ninki yen lo fi kula le tong ne ngon ko ja ka ku ye dang biran kwan kula len get solution ke tong ga ku chama dige o jing Padang make no mistake about that lakin because nu wati jing Padang kere for century ke chilu kwa chin tong di kon loy ti man wa ne ye chilu yen tor ma kal ke jing ke ya unto tak de ya unto ko jiro joden ku ter ke yen a chilu ga di fat en nom fat ko ku Padang to fe ngam no ku Padang re ke ma kal te ne chi ngi to gad ko pal chi ke polo chan bi bare ko ji in ka chi ke nyin wi mana ke jo jam le ye na pin ke pin de do ya klo de ko ba fin wo jing dai wo ginu bin dai e kere chi lu kene chi Padang chi piele kene e entertain for a very long time even the man want talk fi harka cha bi e ka lu entertain abiga de secretary dajere deal de ne ko kam de ne ran chi garan mo biwa ko min Padang chi den no e kene ai chi lu ka chi yin nam la un te chen bit e chan yin ran ko inde nam pin du ko karan mi ke chol bran pi bro kon join liere pyo de Padang ga wona ki chi Padang dol ji nu Sudan now in ke time ko bag e chen nun dio teken wo jing Padang na cha ke yen be lo wa ye grana bana pya ben ku cheti no ku lo bang yiran ti nam ye jalu pya lo le yan wi pin ni jing Padang ku ka pin nyu jien ti ko gobri yo so message le we in ke ka bang lo ye ne kene a chin ke chol bu le ye na ko jer yo chi ki de mi yari ko jer yo chi doctor yik mi cha wala bu le ka de yi gum ja de ni chol ka de yi IBC IBC le ye ne kene solution by beta borders and land dispute IBC ye ne nga te chinera na Padang ne jota tin ku je jam ka bu wudu da ku je la land issue we cannot recognize any outcome will lower politicize IBC because Jing Padang is not even interested in a political settlement or appeasement based on fake and forgery document or maps, colonial map. That's why they are so busy. When they go on a negative chip on a waika, where we Jing Padang, but I when mean can negative chip do the more senior elder and chip when a well informed paramountship in the history of Jing Padang. Even one chen book kedi ke chi ko ko one a scholars, academic scholars, a chi go boom den gena one chi got ke chi ran chol chip ton wa chi en got to. Thank God nu chi to. We na got to. Aka ke gat pe. Ko kene na book jo queen e wi budel bani. After chi Christmas chen to. So kene ka wi bale we. Ke we Jing da, ke we junu bin da ban. That nu Jing Padang is coming to present the historical account and narrative, so that we can actually inform you with the reality. And we are calling Chilugawa or any other neighboring tribe that knew a jam with that allegation. Jing Padang chirum. Achane ne gibilarke ke rur ko biru da taji Jing Padang. Ke wede miuk bas. Kere miuk nge ne Jing Padang chin dat fe. En ke wi no den yi ran ti yek micha. The unity state. E ke gen wi nu biru lu ataji wane ruwen. Ke wede miuk. The same thing in Apanal said, that's why I get their interest. The Chinese big said, big low sheer a cake. Why? Because of 2% or 5% all sheer one will propose. That's what they are pursuing. When I get them teach you look by Martin too. Ubija no lay in a quite big rage, young Padang and Mokacha. Ye and a chingo man who Muka could do not do Biniban. Muka could do Sudan, but Muka could do not do Biniban. We ain't a chukuman, a chan who lose sheer or Jerenko. Ye man jeren ko yin ko yan yek political suppression or bi ana no ki man ke nu lo jing Padang e kene ma ne chengi ne ko chengi gira kin ci kalam fara je lo jirando ne baden je bene wari cham ke ni ko bre ora ne wari cham na le bene kir siya da baden ki bran men tan nan pin ku le nak ke ye nak jing Padang ke chere man ke jeren ke ken ke jing Padang jam le yen an wi administrative area di bare ta ye miskil ku ke da bido na ben e kam da u jere message ke clear yinin junubi yen le yen jing Padang yen ke gibili achirane give a damn about that. You can call us whatever you want to call us. You can stigmatize, or stereotype, or prejudice, or a tribalist. We don't give a damn about that. All right? Yin in rane, I think you don't think you cry, don't think you will get under you. Nka ke na comfortable. Ke kulelo o jing Padang. Ke chol be peace. Bo be lo yu to ko nyoka mal biga dor ginu Sudan will na machu be ga. Ran koro kriya mabele we dor kana. Bak dik de garaja bak tin wak junubin ning le we ga dik ade ke ko en bi dor junub Sudan bi ala loy bi ke ko pe bi intro ko bi na la ai we ne pen se nu yen bi dor loy no kana chu ga kana chi kir mi yadi de chlo entertain minute and it's not even working so yin tie jinga Padang work leaders we will citizen real ke pure achin ton ngwen kwa political forgery ko bi rig mi cha loy e chan mi jela kade conference ben loy po kulele lui rig mi cha da ne nga awi bi nyon ne ne a chan kera ne wengno ku be loy mane ako be weak for the first time then tribal examination be promote again is you through ran jil wuloy ku through Malaysia ne I feel ayo kimana again thing Facebook man they are preaching hatred they are preaching tribal war against Jing Pada but no kulele no we ku duna chugam ayera ne yeta won wi Jing Pada ka bangwedi ayene chulu ka gala ke a chuka ta on notice ni ye tong ne ran yogun ke solution ko bo ga tip all the time no bi ko ja cox bi in push bi in pressure chan bi lui a political concession uyen ke ran ti kir mi yari din ke entertain e kene a chung were ko jeng fada ne ke tie ni tie cha der je ne kene mpala ke ko ga ka gudi yol ba den ki bi la ngor ki nak a chin ton wen so we junubin da en ga wi bag der yinu ke jeng fada njaay ka kule ye nan ci wulaya de pana la sha be mat o ku jeren ki chan jeren ke ci gan ma to ko ci gan ma ko ge nok kul won to ko be ko na ga na chami ci la di a chami ci la wona ra la jol ane victim ga e fada wana ya victim pandi ki ci na jol lekin ke chol chedi yere kula fada le fiori ya kala nyak lu ra ni bede ke chuo bu wu bi ni Sudan chuo bu wu bi ni Sudan message ko bi bankiri mi yari bidial deri ka yugo che deri yore that's why chen ja e kun ran ti jol min 2015 wan to ko kon ya ga ma yo ko chin legitimacy wone o yiga yo kede be ko ko jin ko wone ga e ko yiga gati ko chi ga yiga yo ko Padang ben dang yin ayo when in fact nu Padang always get 100% get supported the government man wa no 100% go supported ran ki Dr. John Garang Mabio Padang wan ke ka 100% e gran ti Garang Mabio ku Garang Mabio wan ai ben ngor ki lu chi lu ga lu favor abi ya lo le yen ma ka la ka chi e ka chi yene man wa ne chi lu ga ne ngor ke ko ne wara ge jini ku dam ku ganam ku le yen ke top secret ku ko di lo ko Padang re ke yen ke Garang Mabio ko ku pol ke men na ne gi nga chi chu lo ma ne ke chi o yi lo bang bi jinu Sudan ko ne ko wan lo Garang Mabio en di lo ke si din ki chi lu a chan bi lo le yen da ko le ma ko la bo apa gana mu bo a wuya de nga ja ka o ya dong nya ba o ke all the politician ke chulu ku pen ko na bi chulu ke dum la o in the offense of jing fada ken wana chi ran chi kirim yadi chi loy wan bi 2015 wen ga ka wan bi chulu ben yor way ben ke ku ulon ku ne ko ku joden military hardware ke jinu Sudan despite the fact chi padang le yin kirim yadi ran ha bagat ka da cheping ni wala ayo ben ga ayo be ke lo de men ke ya be ke padang a chan ke ya ayo wi ke chulu ke wa de myu kan myu to pin de padang ken ke lo wan le na te gula yadi ke lo no o ki ke lu separated e jing padang a chan na te ko to jing padang ko chi be cham myu en ke yin to de nu ka ke yen chulu a chan la de mo ko re dol e jing padang ku ba den la ko ke national level tui cham ka tui ka ba ku le yen padang na bi ga pizza na wi na ku le yen ga be na go jing padang na ko e kinin ga chung mani ga we jing dai we junubin ke da che bi ko nu me no gen bu re ko lekin chang la gan birani nan no ku le o bre a chi le bira lo entertain common sense ya jamana common sense when ko gen le yen ke le ku no jing padang a che politics nge le we when it is politics o padang o ga different. This is not politics. It can be a matter of death or a matter of survivability. In case of okay, well, yeah, after people down road, get when you talk, be a demonstrative areas. Who can I my road? The door open. I can walk. We are sick and tired of this aggressive and hostile tribe. Message is clear. Okay, you got chicken me had it today. Ye and 28 said one agatin. It was us. Okay, quite a be in yal. Petition time said go Golga Belkade. He rig me child out of kilo. Lakin one chi rig me child along Gagawan lend proposal located 21 state. We la kule loi for force kule eru nga belia be yen unity say then defang unity say then elwe kule lwe yen padang to ma ka la belia be ke no hede a chani ni ko ga bicham miu a chin da fe wiki ni ke lu wan kunu her ga jo wan ke nak jing na pana man wan ga to ja jam le we kill them all ngan ku je ne documentaries na we je ne ba ke nyogo for ak yo ga funny wan chi ba li tien wa ba. When it's the same thing in a chiric misha forces in a chilo one piruwe. We can actually funny. It's not even funny. And we are not here for politics. Nyaro walichi on nya we in whether and the Sudan one with Junu Sudan level of Junu Sudan. Yes, go ahead. Kulako could retreat. Lakin don't bother with us. Don't meddle with Oko Jing Padang Kadang Wiku. Yini ran yaren bere wage jerandu. Apiat ke yin chan jerandu. Kerana du. Eran chin loy krai. Jerana yaran yini maran mire we na dik. Cheta fo bi jerandu bi ka ko akwal. Alu ele nagin, balu ele no pinduria. Kede amana ke yubida. Bere jodi gidi. Era ne wele yene yinno. Balu ele kwel kudu. Wone property ku tuma na wako. Balu ele bi pindu bi rumriel. Ene jere na ku wuji ken. Ene pizza ka lwel wala yene stability ya ka lwel. Wo junubin ga. Well, ke lo yene lecture ne we ga chan back de chan en ke ya ka entertain wo junubin. Chela wengi. Na lo la giga. Kran chi pigi yide. Kera lo le yene ye yide ne la yokke na asset. Ayen ho kin problem go jing padang yini ran yaro go jerandu gulla ci acu ka mani ko jerandu wona maybe ade ceng digan taw ka yen wa ka ne ka yoke wata wa fana ke position taw padang ke jamule le yen an yiga dem swete be riedi aca na gore kala lang pandi agore with a piece of mind pandi ke cin gidien ben be jinu ne pegera len ben ja jotong den jorro tin ke kana ba hendo le yen kay pada aci ba ko na di okay so man again ting man ke SPL ma ho yera an tidu lo nye backup a tribal conflict den to kam de jing pada e because no yen rig mi cha ke no de kle chi ni na do pin ne pada nga cha ne kre myuk ina chi go pol cho ko ye gule le ne myuko ne ka ya wi kun ga cham gi jubo ri tui ke ku dun wak junubi ne myuko che kre jing pada lakin ga wad jento panda bes in ka ba tin Our concern of Jieeng Padang is not about oil as well. Oil like region Sudan. It is so dunu ban. It dawo the ban. Here kuluel ka sabti de kwa and their property kuja to fuel integrity. Rane gerandi ladim they recognize no pingine ka pindi Jieeng Padang. Pingin tawo Jieeng Padang tin kuyin kurere pini Jieeng Padang they recognize no ka pin Jieeng Padang. Ke we ke my title deed in a week. Ko they recognize ko they acknowledge legally that no ka pindi. Aywa ko brero yine che. Ko pala ka yin na ka koy pala ka yin kwala kan ko pala ka woni ne lo le pindi blu ak lay in ke chol geran pe kan to kan ne yo ko lo challenge ti man na jem ki ka ayo ku ja gwele ka lo le ayena wala ya chi ka tegi a cha ne ka de ran ji jal ka pindi nge nga ni jal ka pindi nge ka ne o cha wala to ba mari we ge o gi jeren ka te che wala ya be mari ka ga ben lo le ne de ke chol county boundary ade pa yam boundary ko de yi bu mo boundary that ayi bu mo ade na makende yi ki county ke de administrative border de e ka kel bi ngore ga ye internal dispute so I think to do like it has nothing to do with na lo le no oh man we say the talk man wan talk tani ki lu ka made by talk ke Jieeng Padang is still ngore ga lu dispute no ki jen solve that ki lu never stop killing Jieeng Padang just because no they crying food that no Jieeng Padang pin the lo kan ki lo next so kenin kana lo we ke ka criminal dispute ku criminal dispute ke yensol in ban ki mi yadi ache below political appeasement it's not going to work it's never going to work michila kana gorod gol 1982 ni wan ti ko go ke we wan revolutionary war ken je kidi chol chulu jolo ben makal ku jakit bitti ja ko ja chopti bi Jieeng bi ya je de bi ya lu they were lynching Dinka in Makal in all the Madinat because ben ke lu collaborate di jurwan ke nuwe de ban ki ka wane ko wane ka jo yuzu ka ye tribal militia again Jieeng a chana lo ka Jieeng na ke we a Jieeng ta Makal wane ka ja lu ku chob ke we chana ke julu le yen ke Dinka that one in a lu har ka dominate so Dinka were actually being scattered in the cities ke to apana when the same thing that we bantu kujaya ne tribal militia de nuwe kujala yen chulu Dinka bija to right until Dinka benjala ke into other village can get out surrounding area yene nyewan nyeng ba ke ka ina je ke lo ba ni ban be ke ga lo e police ke ga lo ke tribal militia ke ga lo ke ngo e man wa ne ke gen jalo le yena mayorship of any town in town tui e ka lo ka big lo claim ye ke den una wan tu ban har ka cha bie wan ka bi garan wa bi ke ban lo ward le ka de counties lo ke le yin ma ka la ka chi garan wa bi wa yi no no wan garan wa bi jo ti le ngo yin ma ka yin ke ka ndar wanda galati yin ke yin ke yero lo idi gole le yena ke fojeri loy chan bile ma call ki chibijal ku chibele ju which was even a stupid idea too e ken ka yin dol tu Jieeng Padang ku ken ka gule we Jieeng Padang alwa duon wana kan taji ko chi kan dab dang ni ke michila chi wadi yon jinu Sudan the same thing nke we woni ke gran chi kiri mi yadi de ke gen influence nke ke lo wan di kan 2015 peace agreement wan chi kan 2015 big job ban by late wan 2016 yen kono we la yiga yo wan ku Jieeng ban a che ka la kum man wan we taw ni jong le set de jeng ke gat ko taw ki rik mi cha pa ne na ki ben yiga yo wan wara ba de ko ke ni gat ke ye Jieeng wena yen legacy wena yen northern bargadal lakin be ke na ki ke ban yiga yo wan despite the fact that no misken ke taw rik mi cha kuna ti wen wo Jieeng da ke ye men Padang oni chelo men Padang chelo te ne nga we remain pam ko kajira an kiri mi yari kit man wa reo ko ye fam era an kiri mo biu despite the fact that no gara mo biu was supporting chuluk o ki ben ko kaji ya ngo ke ne nyu the same thing achi kiri mi yari ke ba loy wa despite the fact that no 100% kaji hukuma de ko ga against the rebellion ran kiri mi cha ku jela Johnson loy e still ben ngo ki yino ga yo wa kichira an tong nan jelo ayo ku pa ne jen ben tin yen kir mi yadi ke warap aki ben ye gayo kide koy wane ka to ayo ni ke ga marufin that I don't even want to mention their name jongle ka ay ben kum ko wan aki ben ye gayo ni ko ni lo yadan ga shi ba de ne shi negotiate on behalf of the SPL Addis Ababa e kene chen wo go jing fa da kene ke tinge in dal ken ba ga nderi wo jing ko ne kene ko ga bita e man tin je mo go ngor ko wi ayo despite the fact that no cho ye administrative area da ko ruwing his tira ni cholta bande ngai mane angor ke to ruor ka ko yi ko le yene ko kwan ko ke kwan ke manipulation la law e chanin ambition din is about oil pan ruwing the same thing ke ngor ko to ka ayo kane members ken juden chol nu en to ke ran ti ri mi cha a chi ke nya chan bi jing pa dang ko makal bi yin ke de ro ko wadi ngo ke wadi 2% yi wane ke cha makal when the same thing nge wiji riek mi cha ke tingde ko wane ke chamwan ruwen nge ngore mane det ki mane they still complaining lo we ngo ruwen je ka demonstrative area the justification kedan wiku is not about oil a chetil ti lo ke cham lakin ge chen ne chung man chen wene ke property mo to ni ne ke kwal unake mo to ni we mane ke jam le yena pinye ka chiru wen nya ke wade pinye myo ke wi chan ding lo bi lo next to the kran ene ko jolo no wo ti boundary da cha tem ko ti le baro lo ene kan ti le baro lo ko ge le yena ye nwe ku je la chulu we lo le yena jing pa dang ai pin rum ni ko lo ma kame ya jamana achin mai noti woni ran pin ran ne majority en lo next wala bi rum liw kenel bagro gwa ti we pa we jing da ku ja we junu bin okay innocent people o jing pa dang lekin ki chedele abu del dang in a very ugly way in a biran pin adik e yi chan ke entertain ko che dog in ke o gan wala yin kir mi yari support ka ngang ni nonsense na chi ke entertain too much political concession there too much you don't have to appease violence na bi na lo kri bana lo violence bi da na pin to ke la dam bi padang bi lo yen kan chan yi dunu pin ko je ro chol si edine kri ben manipulate ke yinga era anti din kuren kun ka go re ren marar ko je ro chol si edine bi jeng padang ko kuna jake lo manipulate other politician just like you guys ninga PhDs that talk away other academic scholars that talk away but none of you are not even speaking up you are not even being influential and manipulative in the government which actually shape all the political decision making and policy making because of your dominant position all the time. Yenen padang alo le yenen ti ja e cha wi ba ya sai kupen for the sake of it. In ba yin lo support ki yen ngek lekin ki an nyodin. A che because yen e lo nyenya. Yenen padang ke cho lo ngene ke dien go ja e min re yen ande boda wujur. Kwan ti ja e se mar jur. An ti ja e se mar ba yi gibila. E samar e se mar ta British e cha ja e cha resist. Ene chan toro ku Turki. E se mar jur e cha resist. E gibila dange bangloy e te dien re yen tin ga e padang. Akijen kon lo michila aja kuje pin ne ko the contemporary society of today ene bi en yole le en padang an jarum kidi wa nan to tong with a crude weapon I will never anti con defeat ku ka chin jing ye jaldi mane lo la akade jing ba ga dal la bay kwa de jing jong le la bay ja na padang men bega en ngani en ngot for chak di ka jing padang le ba ru da ti wo gnu bin so nonsense len lo propagate mediate ko le ye na yingek a yijeng padang ka chol jeng kiye kulwe bete bo ye wai ko buka tong o padang we don't believe in the quantity of the enemy we believe in the quality of the fight or battle if you pick a war against us no matter whatever your number is we will never be intimidated we will respond accordingly kenen ke wij bag de jeni kan go chari lakini dueng dane nke ci are taken advantage of. Lier pioda, our patient with tolerant no local. In case she jiran bang okay. In case the name of their local could actually considered national level. Jaga yani kirim yari daga tinga na ere be ko yi. Anga ruwing. Because they ere ko ruwing fi jej ta Sudan gidim. Ko ere malakan dat. Akirim yari danga yi. We ko je jamu le we ka we ke influential national level does not mean no e jeng Padang ya ko je pye ke li kam PhD ka to. We come academic scholars ka to. E just because won chi ka ja. Chan mo ko to ram le ali ko. Unacha yin support ki ye wan i won kai wala ki ye bila da ki ne kala wel gulo a jeng Padang ke ko lene ake go ke ko wone go ka lwe or something. No, ache lwe ka den ke elier pyo ke humility ke patient e tolerant. Uke consideration yegin. Uke ye kene support positive. Era andi ke ne ni yen mo be ken support pye. Ni cha ke be lwe pada. So almim en ke gidi le we ke kana. A tere che de le. A tere che de le. Aku ti ben la tine generation that fake na che generation one dom ku tani no pin. So awake. Jake kene jake tingi pet. We kulele yen enough is enough. We kulele yen do kene. Ache o gieng Padang o ba nyoka mal. This time be a miscalculation because gieng Padang there's so many options available. Ja nonsense ni lu entertain kene nge chi bai na mele twin. Apia ko ya jam yit. Apia bi krij bana ta lonko. Nkele bi bai le twin smoothly. Lakin too much political concession e kirim yari lo ikene aluyo kasara da fay. Ke ko lagin yin ki in chugle jana we ti ko jo to this extent e da kinin jo dedi. Uke ko kiro ko lo 2015. Iran ken jo si Johnson lon ki Padang in kon join gule yin kirim yari. Iran kene abagat don ki yigi ke da ni chol division 1 of Afana. Une che pingwan man ka tarara ki kiro lo. Bi jeyno bi mut fa jin bi ken nok ku nek swaga da babat ku jot ba bur ke jen jinu Sudan ku je koy gulwa katara ko ba nje de ma ka almane ne chang lo claim lo le kade ane che warwan ti mi ko ba ro jo be jwar ku jata nyin chen ka yug ne oil pil ti koy ko fa ne Juba ma na nyop nywane ya lakin ga wan chen gol lo stop him malut che jwar ti mi ko ba ro jwa kir mi yari non tene ti ke lo entertain koy ko ba ile ne ti ke ga lo entertain ko lo peace with the too much political concession. Enough. If na ye violent, be a peace. Ketek dangane a position it dangane be Padang they'll consider too. A chan karolo Padang thing a dick. Ye in chugle in ban kirim yari the chanin ran chi Johnson lonyi cha jo date man kala de cha date. Lakin ran der kajin kitchen ke the very day ran chi de ke cha with badom. And don't be submissive to him too. You always succumb to whatever the men in a yegin. Iman ngodi ko lui hukuma du. Hukuma wan chak do tan yin with the other parties is holding you hostage. E kunta e part of the peace agreement. A chan ki egula gin kiri mi yari rani chol Johnson lo ki do tan gi yin. Ye na chin do ko tan gi yin da ki hukuma. Do ko bi tan yin ulon ko bi do tan gi jing fada. Ku yin ji do tan ko ran kiri mi cha mi cha ka to nu wi wa. Majority of ko ken wan ko nyen choke gibila den ke lo le yen ka den na ki ko ken nok ayen ke chi lo ai o uler hidom wel wan le yen ke national reform so ideology bita asel ma o ke different ke ideology ta gwele force kana gwele ke yor we ke jing Padang na teren ke yen ene gwen yolo le yen ninjalo ke dor man tin ninjala dor ke Padang le yen o ya nyu pe ni chulu ko da jo kwen ke dor ninga dor iriel ko kulo ma kam ulon ka mane jang le yen men fiji ke men jing fiji chan fiji jen ke di yen tin ulo ke jang na wolo muwa therefore ran jung lay tu ken ke yen disqualify chan be ala kwan gule ke rana pana kir mi yari bi ngoyra tay yudu ran ci riek mi cha ko bi riek mi cha loy ke ko ben do ben riyo cha riek mi cha ci fiom mi bare nge yin juba so is using ran ci jon ton lon ki proxy a strategy unte ko ben in stock ko bi fees bi loy barricade bi loy undermine ko bi loy sabotage chan to go back yogunu biduk on yogune alternative e waren jam le ka de security arrangement ki ngi lo ku bla bla ku complain ng lo ka ke so option is support cholo de le yin support ya le lo le yin jonton lon ki do kan jonton lon ke yor we kri jing pada so jonton lon support bi do de bi ja nyu pin ki jing pada ku bi ki den sol ku yiri de nam realin ki irmi yari black judicial system do achin ngo mana de judicial system ke bira ande kurem no ke den lu ke dispute the deal order with a presidential degree ku le yini rande michela de pin bo makama ku do ben pin ni ci ku big lu ko makama de junu Sudan nam gala big lo makama len wiki whether big ben makama na America ni yoga tene wala big lo makama de Kenya wala Uganda wala Ethiopia ke den mi de ka fiot bas o pa da ngo ga jazin bu ka kwancho le ga ti wa because confident over confident ko jing padang that no we can win this case 100%. But nuer ku jela yi ne ci lu ku ne jamu le ga de pinen ci jing padang on they are just a political bluff na lo bas just a political mockery because their interest in jing padang land is all about oil in ke ku bi ke ro da tied to jing padang lakin they don't like jing padang. That's why jing padang ye no ko won to ko ben te ci ko la ke ba ko di tu fi level ta jinu Sudan kenin ko gen lo la da mo gat pin ko ye rot ko jing padang buron ma jo ko fa a chan na bi fi na ben ni ben na ban ni changa di ko jerandi a chan ye na murot protect pandi kwan ci bla jol an jan che jol randen kwan che peji kar randen kwan che rum pin randen ga jing padang to ye na duen ya lo le ye nan jing padang na duen na pana una ya duen na panal kan che peji kar randen bi jerandi bi yo an ci jerandi a chan no a chan ba chen ni bari yo go jerandi an ci fin ni jerandi a charum lakin jeren ka ke ya ek hostile ko violent ko ke aggressive therefore on ko gen ko jing padang lo no enough is enough imalat e chuko ke be wi ke je yo jonton lo ni kan jonton lo nya taw ko ge jende ka ye ko le yen jende ni jare ti tui che yi ko nen be o jam ti na la yen kwani na gan jonton lo ka buk joti be jonton lo bi jo a chi chok tem pe ni padang ko wi ba pinga ni kan bi ban nyal wala bi ban pe wala bi ban wi ka bo yo ko padang ko jazi ti chi tu e la dum ko wa gare mi yen no mara wane yen le e ko gen le tong tadne ko le jonton lo ni ka de chin den a won gi chin den ku jaga bai kare ni ke te ne bi e compromise ne ko wi bu loy kene wan la wel ko lo ko chi ri jonton lo ni to ka jonton lo ci lu gane nga du jeng padang ci lu gane nga o ko garo jeng padang le fi na chi non di tani e ke ni lo le yen e wiki kra nga chi ra ne ke na wiki so ekene a chu ngwede jene kan akari jonton lo chere ko bok jam tin bag bay real wala bag bay wagdi abuk resist ko le yen e boda da bes na chi wi ben chok taati ne ko be ko ben pin padang be kaji kan ni de ne ko angi ki de ne ko yen jonton lo na yi chulu ko bi chen apiat ko bi chen ku de ngi jinu ko ye gam nu ko pin padang o kin mi chlo yin gibila dangre ko wo ku ye ko bi chen pin da ki chi jamudi o kin mi chlo yin la dembre nu ku de ngi jinu ko pin ni jeng padang le ki ra re o kin mi chlo yin e junubi dang pay e gabila dang ku bare pin padang a kira antilin ne chene ka ku lwele ne kan ke ye ku lwele chan bran be ben da idara be ben lo kalem le yenan ma jeng padang ni Jieeng Padang mai ro yi ni ran ko ping rot ko je ran won den tu ya ko bai le lo again Jieeng Padang la ka ba ro la mar ko la edu okay ka re politic do na ka lo aye na ken ke unity woni ran nga in ka ran ko unity ran in je ran no wala unity in pin ran ka le ma chena unity wiku blai accusers la ka ba ro la mar do mar roti we ko nya rot fi Sudan it's good for you chin ko man guti lakin ga lo le en Padang lo le jeren ke chi la ji chen a chi ken rio we chen ne cho ko den gam ko lo ne Padang da rat finito kenin ko gam lo yen administrative area in ke best solution until go there two state biti do chet so yin kir mi yadit and the conclusion ko blow we ga delegate ran ki lo nji ban Juba kula yo ko ban Jieeng Padang ke bi Padang lo el ke bi na ye option number 1 ke Jieeng Padang lo o wi administrative area da ka administrative area en wikine ke bran ki riek mi cha woni yin mai to ke bu palo rie won ben ran ne kwan ku bi area den men jola majin bi la maj ke ten long ki Padang ki en separate ke jon to lo ku jila no hede en jon to de riek mi cha a chin ga dan kwen ku a chan ga bila riek mi cha ke jon to ke bila ta jon to lo ke to gona loiki ke chan bi Jieeng Padang ne mato mana chi rod gui Malaysia den ke lo yen a Padang ku chien ga ma chan bu la bu chire ke aka bu ke lo mi chilo kede ja calculation lo da in banki ko chi ka ku ja ku la be ben chire o ke man bi ke jo ben yong ga dem to a chan chi lu ko ben mar ke no wala le mar ke ma ben ko to yen lu ke support ku je la ko mo ku ja Jieeng Padang ben am mato so Jieeng Padang abrai de de nam pinde abi lo loss Jieeng Padang be anoko ku muti abi pen job opportunity dal be ka pen ke pinde na le room ku chini be ke yong so nge ke wiki bi ko lo duang wane kon conference wan ti propose nke o gen lo yen that conference wan ti propose kana chuga ka ke consequences ne ka team strategical so nge Jieeng Padang lo no isolate me kula ke twen da yin ki mi yari ti kin gam ke yeri lo yel kin mi jola twen jara ni chol Johnson lo ba jo kwan ago pi tu woni junu Sudan go la twen lakin ga o gen lakin lo yen in se bina gam ke rek mi cha e suppose lo no yin riek la ni chol Johnson lo ke we ki ye tong te again Jieeng Padang a kin mi chila ke go ku den wa o gen lo yen a go le fu de che fa ba yo an yin ki a yen a go le gwa na che lu ma liet lang wa ni men thor ke jendu ke jenjinu Sudan a go le ke lang Padang ni ye mo che to ku Johnson lo nya che nam tem ke lo men ni chi lu ka chi le bi la thor de fe ke la de ya Jieeng Padang di lo attack ku di lo am ku dil pin de room real in ka dem den ko ne ngor ga lu stand by jende mana ki liya bi den ayo because no yene che fara de ayo support bi ale gen ya yin ki to ken ke ran ti John to no yen disqualify chan bi kwan on the ticket the SPLM ayo ki a political party because John Tonon is never an SPLM IO. I even chiluk majority of the chiluk that they're not even pro IO. Keto bet ke military line ni siglo kam de kir mi yari de machine ne deri jine ken machine ne deri ni ro tay lo fule nga woni ken en gay in lo corona en gay in corona politically baran kir yek mi cha ko ne ken jari nam je hinari nam ga tin piole yene la be disqualify tu yene Johnson lo ngero claim ele yen native ta fiji ko fiji ga fendi jien ko fiji ata under the legal jurisdiction de pani jongle so can you disqualify the fact that town ga jeje ye yen disqualify ya jamana kam kirma yari ke governor zaka kwanga ka none of them kira an te the nam tribal militia den ji pure ben ga bila dang pay to we wulaya den chin kwantin gi governor ben victimized but Johnson lo nya to ga ye akai ri mi cha yin man ni Juba wala la ye nan ti janyu wulo ka ci lo integrity jande kelwe that political match then one or military match one chiglo we can ke line is over ko kaji go tinga ga wan kiji ran tirgulo kiji ben one Juba it is kan 2015 2015 wan bi ran ci yek mi cha ben Juba bi tong ni J1 July 2016 ben ja ben thor Johnson ron ge ko ku len ci bok ko den wa che part of SLMIO kir mi yari de ngochin yara call you have to recollect ka ke pek when ke ku wika we jing padang bangi jing padang we sit kan jing padang ke ka support ka ba ke ka pre when ko ro lo volunteer ke bi look chan buga jam 24/7 chan to educate the general public yit ni lo ke chelo entertain ka chi ke jo entertain ku jalo le yin you expect a miracle brought your low the chini jamani ngelo ngan bu do ping ku kene we mane we lo influence in ke we manipulate opposition dun ku chaga yi kala lo manipulate because you are not speaking up, you are not standing up vocally with presentation bula lo with the fact be ganun ku be agiga ingo jala lo dun mane ka we si adin ka padang lo dun ko ke cholo reer nor ku la ka bi ngegwe ka bi ngegwe ngega jalo le di ko chini about you guys. Why do you want to rely on someone and you are there just avail yourself to lo present? Yenan bi lu kana we yan chi me cham del ben Juba dong wo ko ki ka lu intimidate ko bi lu kana lu show up maktab de kir mi yari ka dago ke wege ko wone ko go kon til that acha na bora ne te ne ko le yen ni wuji lu ka mane pyo ka we acha we working job opportunity but here I am and to western world I have a job opportunity but we can one so we use the media advocacy be we ga yin strategy be we yin idea how baga fight on behalf of Jing for that wala ko kun lakin you don't want to take advantage of this. When we call your names out, does not mean you man in personally. But when you fail to represent the people voice, then you can be called out. Achille brand chega dom sake, ujala uja touch, wondu, uja ke chama ko family do. That's what you do. Yen wacha kale ku yana video coach program bear pay lakini support be check chan bi ko kwela woila wacha kale chakale jo kai un chen chie una ka chen chie ko ki chie. Thank you. Ke message lo ele message very clear jeng padang awuja administrative area de acha ne na go ban kiri mi yari ke gari mi cha bi ke yeka nam law won bi ga nen ko ko bi bay de pionden agor yek mi cha go ra nen pionde go kwan kit jol jonton lo for by that yo ka ke kachi okin deal kin go be ko wi jonton lo na kwan jonton lo dar ko ngor ko to wala to ngi ka chip achu bu lo la ko jeng padang chan bi nyu pinda nana Jaka wan o kyol coronavirus ko kyol snake. We will not allow them to step his feet in Jing Padang le. Message is very clear. Yin Jing Padang wala yen problem yak bi ben pindu. Yin ang ke in pattern ran chana dundu. Itself is one enemy. So okay with fake peace. Na ran with peace can go le yen number 2 ke peace initiative conference one to propose a lot them will go ke peace initiative kam ne chulu jala Jing Padang. Nishi ke yen wike ke another option gulo o la makame makama kana na ko be alek junu Sudan gulo o ko la makame ina ben tol. Other than that the last resort always ke yen ke chirki wiki ina wiki ren ko ku yen kana a chu wiki ga preach media rana ma pengtini kede yin ran ko ren in ben yo the option na le o ga o mer ni tonga a che ke o ke do padang cha nen ke chol tong ke ko to ga chu ke loy lakini chaga wi back propaganda den baga pin chan media yin ban la ko wel la ke jeng padang na lui ena lui tong preach in which way lo en tong preach here which way ki ya lo ga lo hak di ko bo ko en tong di ni chi en which ka ya lo no enough is enough with the political concession e kiri mi yari de lo do ra chi bi ya o jirin ko jeng padang ke ka ko lo ko ke lo okay we are not willing to concede our interests in the offenses of my people. Because at the end of the day, I will end up a loser in everything. wo kana ya chole ya lo jiren kididi ku ka chiro de lew re ya ngor chi nam la an ngor ka ben no wo ke ko ba ben kwal ku le yena rumpindi chi le bara loy so theater ko na ka loy is not working the expenses of Jieeng Padang achu be gamen kan yen wo chakale Yeah. So stand by. I adik which a college quite qua manage and you bear lawyer request the answer request would be conclusion man lawyer ban Wilson in the theat I just ben galas current man lawyer close. Otherwise I was almost done. Um and you jam gatir. But the show was actually meant for myself. I didn't even expect and I was not even reading comments until lately. Again, back a year lawyer cake entertain a month while I'm waiting for Ban Padang, be closing statement, then delivered to Ban Jieeng Padang to Juba, just citizen Jieeng Padang, and you guys stand by to join the presidential conference that is going to take place between the delegate of Gerald Johnson Olony and the office of the presidency of the Government of National Unity of South Sudan. So we want the leaders, representative of Jieeng Padang as well, to avail themselves and to present themselves in that conference based on what we have proposed generally for Jieeng Padang around the globe. That our number one priority that need to be put on the position paper is that Jieeng Padang in Afanal State are actually demanding for their own administrative area so that they can actually give Dr. Riek Machar the opportunity to be able to appoint Gerald Johnson Olony as he desire or demanded. So this is actually going to break the political stalemate or political deadlock between the ruling party, the SPLM in government, and the SPLM-IO. So we want to mitigate the tension between the two parties that are now part of the unity government, so that they can actually break the political deadlock by appointing Johnson Olony. But for us at Jieeng Padang, we have entirely refused to be part of Johnson Olony. Even if he come today, we will not recognize him as our governor. But Wilson in Jalo, right? Hello.
I go worry na ya ben Bella look brother. And kini nam jang or almost 2 hours. Inki da pa jidir.
Ajida fajun na. Ajida fajun no lie.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, we below a limit to 1 hour, but then catch a meet. Lecture ke radio ba ban.
Ayira ne chola chuta ye jam pe ni no ba ye kursa. Ye ne to won golin jam ni na tay pa ku da bela appointment.
You know.
Achino denkur.
Oh, well, and you couldn't comment because I was not reading the other.
Anyway, by the way, topic
you know, run away.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ke lo en program kan in Benton na ku ke chan bade nu delegate ke ran ci Johnson lo ni ci chop Juba wana kol ku ye na big la yok banki wala big la yok riek misha so na big la yok ran ci ki mi yari ku jila yin Dr. Riek Misha ke yen ke ya nyar ban kon ke Jieeng Padang to fi Juba it's suppose they have to get ready ku yen big la present so ka big la present ke chalwe lun la yen apia big la jam ke Ulaya bi yen ke go ko ron ma ke pa ke Jieeng Padang ago ran ci Riek Misha ago yi green light beran ci Johnson lo kwany right achan ci kirmi yadi ke ku kuma den the national government ci be mong no pi ago junu bi ne ko la twen do de ke good idea ne kan ko go no ko yiga administrative area da ko Jieeng Padang to apana ago ke la twen do du achan ke Johnson lo nya ke junu Sudan ban ke ta ko Jieeng Padang ku ke achin ke junu Sudan ba ti ko da gweli wan ke kai wei wade ne lu ga de pin ci Jieeng Padang ru kere ro cha lo for force ke yen ko wan ko kon jamtin ku le yen peace initiative ala bi yen ke representative kan ti ben ti chulu bi le ke ko le yen Padang a wi dor bu mi pe ni we ku ka be mediate either big government be mediate wala different neutral party won ben lo us ku be mediate in peace okay peace initiative in chulu again kere dia after bu lo ma ka ma ke wo Padang we don't need to rest again in ke wa ga wen ti man ke ti din ke chulu ku jela jeren kon koke ke kana ye kala manipulate kule lo ki yesiet lakini ki wi below yesiet kan wi below makama ku bito kenen ke ya lo ka in ban tona ku yin mi jo ben ge ban Jieeng Padang ku buke jo thot we de wedo ngo beton ke ku ngo big lo acha wi below le ye ne ka buke lo belu bu ka lu boycott de kan ye ne tin ka lo lakin ke dun na bala lo lag ja Challenge.
Apia in challenge brother Bill look lead genome ayok benyabia la chikon ben big one pen kin
Wanna call?
ana tawlo ay wana kol we ne be ben big na namya ke ko ku bug le la ret ma awareness chiman ayok
Yes.
ko chik ting ko kin giting now before bidega wedien baton ko kan padang wala leaders wala politician ke taw juba a message to the Jieeng or to the other sources, it is now proved that what Jieeng Padang has been saying all along, it has been proved. How it was proved? You see, there are a lot of questions now. Why Johnson Wulong send the so-called advent team at this current moment? There should be a lot of things coming out on it. Was he advised by his shuluk or by his whoever that Johnson Wulong, what you are doing with the war rhetoric, you're going to face a consequence because we know that we are heading into the dry season. And with this continuation of the messaging through the voice recording and videotape in Khartoum, all this show to the South Sudanese that the guy was beating the drum of war. Now, another, why Johnson Wulong send his own advent team, rather he claimed to be under Riek Machar IO. While the vice president is there, his chief in commander is in Juba. Now you come out clearly that with your tribal agenda, you're sending Agwelek mainly from Shuluk and saying that you are going to meet President Kiir and Salva. What a contradiction are you doing? First, you say you don't have problem with the government. You are fighting for the land with Jieeng Padang. So your advent team should go to the Jieeng Padang and talk to them, not a government of South Sudan. If people are really, if President Kiir is aware of all this, or by President Riek Machar, because the Jama al confusion going on in South Sudan with the problem of how to identify the issues and how you will come out with the conflict resolution is the problem, because we don't identify the problem. Wulong problem is very clear that he is fighting Jieeng Padang because of land. So now why the guy sent the so-called team, advance team to the Juba? Gal, he is going to meet with the president. You say what with president? By the way, it's not our concern anymore. They proved themselves that they are an independent organization out of the SPLMIO they used to claim. That's what should be clear to the old South Sudanese, that what Jieeng Padang has been saying is clear. Johnson Wulong sent his advent team. They are purely from Shuluk, Agweleks, including the general who is leading them. So the guy is in a very tiny situation now. Either he has to accept to come and join the peace, or stay away, and then you will be met by militarily during this dry season, whether you want it or not. So these are the things. Now he turned down his social media rhetoric, calling Jieeng Padang we are a snake, calling us we are coronavirus. What kind of leader is that? So my suggestion to the my people of Jieeng Padang, you see, the delegation went to Juba, and you guys are in Juba, and it is good now we see. Ude kalam de kaman eke buglak bany Salfa. Ukene ke bawo po Salfa ti nya ko kwetken. Te yena gulek tribal malija ke ko abdike la lui meet. Kuwek rare wood men wanten. I knew that you were be requesting bagdil meet yen. Timan wan chir yek machar we chol. Ku bagra iduna kwen ko we Jieeng Padang face to face. Wachi ko bi kudun pingen bany Salfa. Bi we meet. Now the Lenjala meet ke ko ka gulek. What kind of message is sending to the Jieeng Padang in Bankir but Bezat? It's a wrong message, because kaja regi yin kaja ko big jam yin one could be rather bigger be condition bigora wuregi kaja ko big jam yin face to face within the Juba. Okay, that Tony in Banki uja ko her Banki kaja ko big affair this time. Wachi bill look well wo shi ko bug be anyonga mal yen ye ko tem gup wala jin won ta ye tem gup la te lina lwela ba mat wege delegation a golle ke tribal buta shulu ko tarlen it better ba wu kon met first in banki kan ko ka to wut ko go yira kwet min wan met ke riek there were so many letter in buka jil mat yin ku ba opinion Jieeng Padang ping face to face now wuloni ja kier na ku ja luya device I can be ben in na de to be in kwange ben ayene kloirat for this kind of delegation that sent by Johnson Wulony is proof Jieeng Padang what we were been saying is really true. Agulek is not a part of IO because there was no reason Johnson Wulony should send a separate advent team while his claimed chairman Riek Machar is in Juba as a first vice president and he has the capability to arrange his own. But you look how he's now to try to negotiate his own peace in. So the guy up here does not even trust Riek Machar. That's another way you can look at it. If you're sending your own advent teams, and while you claiming you was a part of this organization of the IO, it doesn't add up now, seeing your team is arrived. So the message is very clear to South Sudanese, but our message as Jieeng Padang, with all this confusion, we already make our mind that it is time for a presidency or President Key particularly to give us our own administration to shut down all this drama. Because you cannot be united with somebody that you know he's not a quiet guy or he's some type of criminal mindset. So we are saying that it will be better the Padang to be given our own administration and let the Shuluk and the rest who want to have an upper Nile going on with their own state. Because these two or these specific two tribes, we don't trust all of them. And for time being, the rhetoric is still continuous from the Nuer side. You can see in the social media, those of Deng Tong are still calling for war. Comrade Pal is from Nasser. He's going to share his state with us. You see the Mad Nuer, he's from Nasser. So if you bring this warmonger back to the Upper Nile with the Jieeng, again, they will cause the trouble. Plus rhetoric of the shoe. And that's why we are saying this time, we want a permanent peace. And permanent peace, what will be brought in, what will bring the permanent peace is a separate administration for the Jieeng Padang to close all this door of our own enemy, and then everybody will stay in his own place. And I give example of 32 state always. As we speak, we are still under 32 sectarian state. And that's what keep us safe from 2016 up to now, because we are on separate administration. Nuer of Nasser and Mayoud, they are all in their separate administration. Shiluk are still under Peshoda right now. That's where you see the peace come in Africa, because nobody go to nobody land, except they, Nuer and Shiluk as we speak, and that's what surprised Padang when they are calling rhetoric of war. As we speak, there are so many Nuer in oil field working. There are so many Nuer living in Falloj as a normal Motanim. There are so many Shuluk in Falloj and Rang. And you happen to declare war. While there is no shikin of the Dinka in Pashoda, there is no shikin of Dinka in Kodok. There is no even shikin of Dinka in Wadakona. And there is no even a cat of Dinka in Ladjor state, which is Nasser, and there is no Shikin in Mayoud.